Hey, what's up guys? And I know that this might come as a surprise, but this is it guys. The final episode of What If Naruto was the Deadpool and Wolverine guys. But you don't have to worry about a single thing because you already know new what ifs are coming very soon for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and obliterate that red subscribe button if you're new and become a part of the Anime King family. And comment down below and tell me so I can welcome you personally. And don't forget to turn on the bell notification to see when I post. Because I do post a hell of a lot. And I have 3 more channel guys. All the links will be in the description, so go ahead and obliterate that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump right into the final episode of What If Naruto was a Deadpool and Wolverine. Let's begin now guys. So the last part that we had left off, Naruto had ran back to the base as fast as he possibly can. The limitations that were based on normal human body were not on his, because his body was able to overcome anything given his advanced regeneration ability that was on a completely different level. Yes, he was able to surpass all those limits and limitation as well. So with that, it didn't take hard for Naruto to return as he questioned the Sannin on what he has done. Orochimaru, after realizing that Naruto wasn't going to give up on what he was saying, he told the members to restrain him. That is when Naruto proceeded to massacre every single member. Yes, he took down the Zone 4. He took down Kimimaro. Gurin was hesitating on what to do, as she was not sure. Her hesitation cost her as Naruto rushed towards her, but instead of cutting her down, he simply knocked her out. Yes, he knocked her out. Upon taking her down, he took Orochimaru on. A vicious battle ensued between the two, both of them possessing high regenerative abilities. They could go for days, however, Naruto was not playing around in the slightest. He was quiet, and whenever he was quiet you knew that you screwed up. As Naruto attacked the Sannin with a fury, Orochimaru was forced to leave his normal form as he battled Naruto. However, even then, at his strongest, Naruto was still massacring him. The Sannin did not stand a chance in hell as Naruto was picking him apart piece by piece until the last remnants of Orochimaru was left. The Sannin tried to take Naruto over. However, Naruto has learned how to make his body function like the weapon it was without his mind. Orochimaru was screwed as he was being sliced up outside, as Naruto did not stop until all remnants of the Sannin was wiped away off the map. Sometime later, Gurin woke up. Upon waking up, she found herself on the bed. She heard movements downstairs as she made her way to find Yukimaru, who told her that Naruto was the one that saved him. When all hell broke loose when the rumors of Orochimaru's death started to circulate, as Naruto was going around massacring all of Orochimaru estates and people, wiping them all off the goddamn map. He was erasing them. When he found the young boy, Gurin had not remembered because she was intoxicated at that time, but she told Naruto all about Yukimaru and all how much she cared about him. She spoke to him as she wanted to know what was he going to do now. But the main thing was she didn't want him to leave. She wanted him to stay here. However, ever since the realization and finding out who he was, Naruto has been conflicted not only with himself but everything. Yes, he's been conflicted and emotional. Something that he wasn't used to at all. Jiraiya had found the place and found the remains of the Isanin. He returned back and informed Minato on what happened, telling him everything and telling him what happened there, from what he could see. Kabuto, loyal number 2 of Orochimaru, had returned later to find the massacre and his master dead, with no answers and no way to get them. However, tragedy struck as Yukimaru ended up passing out with blood coming from his nose. Something was wrong with him and none of them know what it was. However, Gurin had an idea. She brought him to Karin, Orochimaru leading expert in all medical affairs. Karin was rather skeptical on helping them until Naruto threatened to kill them all. It turns out that he was suffering from, well, the withdrawal of drugs. The constant drugs that were pumping into his system. His body was craving it now, and the withdrawal was hitting him bad. However, Karin gave him something to calm his nerves. She told him that it would take some time, but he would recover. Gurin was about to tell Naruto, but when she arrived, he was gone. As he carved the words in the wall, "I'm sorry," Naruto decided to push everything away, as he basically shut his own mind down and simply returned back to what he knows best and what he does best. The whole family thing, emotional love and all that, was not his thing, as he returned back to the man that he was, a bloodthirsty mercenary that had no qualms to do whatever it takes to get the job done. And that is what he returned to. That path suited him rather well, as he was sent on a mission, as he found himself surrounded by bloodthirsty bandits and ninjas, and that is what made him happy, he told himself. So yeah guys, basically let's pull it off. You guys can switch across the place of yourself so as to begin this new episode, guys. Oh, hi there. You probably don't remember who I am. The name is Deadpool, real name Naruto. Well, it has only been 9 days for you guys, so if your memory is that shitty, I think you guys should go and get some medical help. Well, let me fill you in on what has been happening, because for me, it's been over 3 years. First of all, I returned back to my calling, being a mercenary, the greatest. However, I soon found myself depressed. It was a word that was hard to come by until I went to a therapist because I needed some help. There was no more rush, no more rave, nothing at all. I found myself bored, and I've been feeling conflicted, full, heavy, girthy, packing. You know, my therapist told me that I tend to be sexual in my talking, but I just don't hear it. Well, I did kill him anyway. I mean, all therapists are closet perverts and freaks. I mean, who the hell would sit down and voluntarily listen to another person's problem unless they get off on it? So, therapists, perverts, or freaks have to be one of the two. Where was I? Oh yeah, I found myself depressed, and I realized I have nothing to live for. Nothing and no one in my life. I do have a family. However, I doubt I could fit in with them. I mean, I'm not normal. The things I do, the things I've done. I guess there's a lot of trauma mixed up in this crazy head of mine. I made good on my promise though. I've eliminated over 1,000 plus of Orochimaru's men. I've destroyed every single one of his bases. I even ran into his number 2, Kabuto. We had a little chat. Well, he did not like what I did to his master, so I sat him down on my blade ass first. It really hurt. I tend to forget how painful things are, given that I've stopped felt pain overall. I'm not feeling physical pain, but a very messed up emotional one. I've tried countless times to just wipe my own memory, but banging my head against a hard surface tend not to do much things. It's only fun in bed, and that's with a bed board. As I was saying, I've been depressed. So I figure, what's the point of going on? From what Orochimaru had said about my regeneration, he believes that I'll live far beyond the natural state of any human. It's a sense of immortality. Not even he know the full understanding. However, I figure I'll just opt out. I'll just don't put up with it. So, Deadpool got to his feet. He was on the highest cliff in the Elemental Nation, nearby the hidden lightning. He looked down as he could not even see the ground. The clouds. He was higher than the clouds. There was a vial in his hand as he opened said vial. He lifted his mask up and drank it. He could feel it burning through and burning inside of him. It was a variant of acid and poison. One of the most deadliest that he could get his hands on. With a smile on his face, he jumped. Splat! He splat out on the ground. However, the next moment, he twitched. He started to curse up a storm. A real violent one. No, there has to be a way. He just wanted to die. There has to be a goddamn way. He's put himself in a situation where he's been ripped apart, burned alive, sliced apart, impaled thousands of times, and yet he's still coming back again and again and again. An idea popped into his mind. The idea revolving around the group that he had recently come across not too long ago. The organization known as the Akatsuki. If he remember correctly, they comprise of S-rank criminals. That meant someone really powerful had to come and bring those criminals together in order to control them. That was it. He has to find this leader of this group. Perhaps they have the way to end his life. He did piss off the group already, so it would be in their best interest to try and kill him. There must be a way. Thinking about it now, maybe he should have not killed Orochimaru and allowed the Sannin to kill him. Well, he wasn't that depressed back then. What is he saying? The man was only going to take over his body and ride him like a cheap meat suit. And that wasn't something that he desired. If he was going to be ride, he was going to be ride the proper way, not as a meat suit, as a flashlight. He jumped to his feet after his body had been fully recovered. Well, time to find the Akatsuki, he thought to himself. Meanwhile, at Konoha, it's been 3 years. 3 long years, and Naruto doesn't want to be found. Minato was now aware of his name. The name that he go by, that people know him as, those who were extremely close to him. Jiraiya had found a person like that. However, the person wanted nothing to do with him. They told Jiraiya everything that they knew, including his name, which was Naruto. A funny name, either meaning maelstrom or a ramen topping. Minato was sure that it was a maelstrom one though. It pained his heart to know that he never got the chance to name his son. After all, someone else gave him that name, or perhaps he gave it to himself. Minato just did not know. Naruto had been massacring every single one of Orochimaru's bases. He had made it quite public by blowing most of them to pieces, with himself inside. From what many of the people had heard, thousands of people had been rescued, people that Orochimaru had kidnapped, over 42 bases, as Minato was shocked that the number was that high, and those people had been rescued. Well, they say that he didn't actively try to do so. He was fighting, and most times his weapons sliced the bars, or he threw someone through the bars with great amount of force. Minato had been able to speak to many of these people, Jiraiya included as well. However, Naruto was actively trying not to be found. From what Jiraiya got from the person, it turns out that Naruto believed they would see him as nothing but a monster, as he figured that it was in everyone's best interest that he wasn't found. It's been really hard to keep Kushina from telling Mito. However, Minato felt it best for her not to know. She was just as stubborn as her mother. She would put herself in active danger in order to find him. And Naruto was nowhere to be found, not to mention Naruto was hunted by very bad people out there. While her training had brought her to new heights, Minato did not want to put that target on her head. He just needed to speak to Naruto. However, Naruto was making that extremely difficult. Minato's thoughts were interrupted when the door opened up, as a member of the analytic and cryptic department came inside, with a note from the San, causing Minato to narrow his gaze. Time skip. A man known as Ringo. He was a broker for information. He had a rather lucrative network of people that gave him information, but most of his things were underground black market deals. And he tended to go for those who were, willing to pay him more. At the moment, Ringo was with one of his advisors, as Deadpool was also there as well. The advisor stood to the side, as Naruto had sent him on a mission to go and do something. However, Naruto looked rather disappointed as the advisor was holding a briefcase in his hand. I got some information that I think you want, given your recent interest in the Akatsuki, Ringo said as he stepped forward. It turns out that they recently kidnapped the Kazekage. How long was this? Deadpool said. Around 1 day ago. So if you head off now, you might still catch them in the surrounding area. Well, that depends, Ringo said. Naruto stepped towards him, but he turned his gaze towards the advisor that stood there. The advisor handed Naruto the suitcase, but Naruto stopped him from giving it to him. What did she say? She said that she doesn't want it, and if she see my people come around once again, she will kill them. As the advisor looked towards Naruto waiting for a response, Ringo narrowed his gaze as he saw the interaction. While the man was one of his people, he wasn't a low-level grunt that he ordered around constantly. He was someone that worked directly with him. Naruto started to walk away. Wait, what about this? The advisor said. Keep it, Naruto said, walking away. The advisor looked rather surprised. I take it. The mission that he sent you on didn't go well, Ringo said. The advisor opened up the briefcase to see a line of cash. Ringo narrowed his gaze. What's that about? It's nothing, the advisor said, walking off. However, Ringo narrowed his gaze. There was plenty of people that would pay top dollar for Deadpool. However, Ringo had noticed that Deadpool had behaved strangely recently. Yes, really strangely. Something was off. And that money that he had, it was to go to someone. It turns out that he had something that might be the weakness of Deadpool. After all, many people had tried to find that, but they failed. Ringo, being the man that he was, he desired to know what that weakness was. After all, it could all be sold for the right price, he said with a smirk on his face. He knew who he was pissing off. However, to him, money was everything. It even trumped life, sometime maybe his own. However, he always got out of situations that tend to be dangerous, so he believed that he was unstoppable because he was a man with the information, and he believed that no one would kill such a man. Well, he will find out soon enough. Time skip. Get back here! Shouted Mito Namikaze. Both her and Kakashi Hatake were making their way, hunting after Deidara, as Deidara was behaving rather slippery, dodging and evading the both of them on a cloud. One of his arms were missing courtesy of Well, Gaara, who crushed it. But Gaara was now dead and in the mouth of his bird. Team 7 had been split apart. Team 7 and Team 9 had been sent. Team 9 was already deployed, so word was sent to them to meet up with Team 7. They ran into a clone of Kisame and they destroyed him. Team 7 ran into Itachi Uchiha. Sasuke had demanded to be sent on a mission revolving the organization, and Minato had more than enough faith in his little girl, knowing that she was no longer a little girl. Mito had grown up a lot over the past couple of years. Her training had been past expectations, bringing her to heights that she could never achieve before. She wanted to take her father's title one day, and she knew that even with mental power you must also possess physical power, so she was taught everything. She was even able to spend time at Mount Miyamboku, and found something that shocked both Minato and Jiraiya rather quickly. However, Minato was already in line with the sage energy, while not adapt to it at first. Over the years he had learned how to adapt far better. So Minato had full faith on sending his daughter out despite the organization was hunting after her because of what she contained. However, after testing her himself, Minato had full faith that she could handle the threat, and she was not alone. Kakashi had taken Sasuke on as a pupil. Yes, as a full pupil, as each member had split up. Mito now possessing the title of Jonin. She received that title 2 months ago, after graduating passing the expectations within the Chunin exams where she gained that title. She spent the next couple of years at training hard, and when she finally booked the test, she passed it with flying colors. But she wasn't the only one. Achieving the same rank was Sasuke Uchiha as well. Sakura has not taken the Jonin test yet, and that was because she had put off most of that to study in a different field. She was becoming a medic, not just any medic though, one of the greatest to ever walk this land since Tsunade Senju. They were able to bring Tsunade back. Her and Jiraiya, as Mito and Jiraiya had been able to bring her back. It was a rather emotional affair. However, upon coming back, Tsunade had taken charge of the hospital and also created the medical program. Sakura, Ino, and several others had joined said medical program, as Sakura had taken time off her ninja studies to focus on medical areas. Right now she was Tsunade's top pupil, that is why she had stayed back with Chiyo. Yes, Lady Chiyo from the Sun, a woman that was rather adverse in puppets. She could fight the member known as Sorcerer the Red Sand, the Scorpion Man. So they were taking him on. As for the final member, Sasuke jumped out, shocking Deidara as he jumped from the tallest tree. Sasuke had weaved around. Team Guy was caught up in a trap that the Akatsuki had set, forced them to fight themselves. Kakashi had radioed in with them, telling them how to split their team in how to help both groups. Deidara cursed as he had to move away as his bird wing was tore right through. He was now falling, as the bird was also falling as well. Looking towards the corpse of Gaara, he made a break for it to grab it. However, that is when Mito stopped, finally seeing Sasuke doing his part. She blurred through hand sign as Kakashi jumped away. When her hand hit the ground, she propelled herself with wind energy. She reached Deidara in a matter of seconds, shocking the man. Kakashi threw a kunai to the side as it stuck in the wall, causing Sasuke to use ninja wire to hook himself up. As Deidara's eyes went wide as Mito blurred through hand sign in mid-air. However, he used his one hand and released spiders. Before they could explode though, lightning, needles made from lightning, stabbed into them. Deidara snapped his head to the right as he cursed angrily. Sasuke, who was standing on the wall, the ninja wire held safely in his hand that pulled him to the wall. And now Mito did not need anything else. A kunai in her hand as she activated her technique. Deidara smirked though because the kunai would not reach him. That was until his arm was sliced clean off. He raised his arm in defense, and that was why his chest was not split open. His eyes widened as he saw the wind chakra circulating around the goddamn kunai, making a reach far longer. "You're mine," Mito said, anger in her tone. Gaara was someone special to her. After defeating him in the Chunin exams, her and Gaara, well, they communicated on a personal level. She could not understand his pain, and yet she was just like him, but she did not understand his pain. She grew up with her family, not receiving stigma like him. Over the past couple of years, they had become friends. She even went to the sand on a few occasions to build a relationship between the two villages. What more so than the Hokage's daughter showing that the Leaf Village had fully forgave them for their action in the Chunin exams, as the sand and Konoha was more tighter than before. Throughout this though, Mito and Gaara had become close, as they had shared a special bond, and to find out that he had died, it hurt her badly. All she wanted to do was to cut down these Akatsuki members. Her gaze was filled with bloodlusted, her eyes rageful. She did not hesitate as she swiped once again. However, Deidara made a move, thrusting his body over to the other side. As Mito saw Gaara's corpse falling out of the mouth, she dived down and sliced the head off. As the bird crashed down to the ground, Deidara took to the trees. As he ran, running, he didn't have any damn arms. He was screwed, he thought, as he jumped from tree to tree and made his way as he flipped down. However, Chidori! Kakashi came bursting out of the foliage. Deidara flipped over him, only for Sasuke to slam a heel in his face. That is when Mito burst from underneath the ground and delivered a brutal uppercut that cracked his mouth open. Blood and spit flew from it. Gaara was perfectly safe, with one of her clones. His corpse was, at least. Her fist was dripping with his blood, reaching her eyes as she descended upon him. However, they were all stopped by the sound of a horse. Riding in on a pure white horse was none other than Deadpool. He flipped off the horse as he started to pet it. "Good girl," he said. "Who's a good girl?" Wait, he bent down and looked underneath the horse. "Oh my. I mean, good boy. Who's a good boy?" he said. "You're rather pretty for a boy. But who am I to judge? You can be anyone that you want to be, even human. I accept you," he said, holding his heart, as he kissed it on the forehead. "Now go. It's time for Daddy to do his business." And Daddy tended to get rather nasty. He spanked it on the butt as it galloped off. He turned his gaze as he dodged the kunai, courtesy of Sasuke. "Ah, Uchiha. Didn't see you there. If I'm not mistaken, didn't I spank you for doing something exactly like this in the past?" The look in Sasuke's eyes was one of anger, as he remembered that moment clearly, that humiliating moment. Not to mention, he thought that this was his chance to kill Itachi, but he fought a goddamn clone, so yes, he was pissed. Kakashi was fully aware of who Naruto was, because Minato had confided in him. Being his last remaining student, he had confided in him and tell him everything regarding the situation. So the copy ninja was surprised to see Naruto. After all, he knew that they've been looking for him for some time now. However, Mito did not know about the situation. "What the hell do you want?" Mito said, already in a pissed off mood because of what had happened. Deadpool looked towards her for a long minute as he did not say a word. He just looked at her. "What? Have you gone dumb?" she said. Usually he was someone that enjoyed chatting a lot, so his silence caught her off guard. Not just her though, Sasuke as well. He was just staring at her, not blinking, not moving. He was just looking in her direction. "You don't know," he said, under his breath. But she heard him. Don't know what she shouted at him. Naruto doubted that she would have reacted this way if she knew. It seems like they kept it away from her. His gaze turned towards Kakashi. But you do, he said, looking at the copy ninja. There was no other on this planet that had higher senses than Naruto. He could feel the fluctuation from here. He snapped back into character rather quickly. I'm not sure what was going on here, with a handless individual on his, well, not perhaps knees, but on the ground, surrounded by 3 people. I'm not sure what scene I walked into, but I'm gonna have to interrupt it. Sorry, I can't join. But you're going to come with me, he said, looking towards Deidara. Like hell he is, Mito said. Sorry, Tomato, but this is not an option. It's a demand. Mito's eyes start to turn red. The frustration of Gaara being dead and this asshole once again popping up when she thought that he was probably dead or something. Every time he showed up, he antagonized them or interrupt their mission. She was not counting the time that he stepped in to save them, but she did not care about that. All she wanted now was revenge. She wanted to make Deidara pay for what he did to Gaara, and she wouldn't allow this red-faced bastard to get him, not to mention what happened at the village. She had no idea why he was there, but he did hit her mother away. When he was fleeing away, she had saw a glimpse of his face, but not that much, just a side view, as she didn't fully know the description, but she knew that his hair was blonde. Having enough of the situation, not to mention this was their prime opportunity to get more intel on the organization, Sasuke charged up a Chidori as he dashed towards Deadpool, with the sole intention to take him down. He wouldn't allow anything to stand in his way of getting his revenge on Itachi. Deadpool dashed towards him as Sasuke's hand ripped through his stomach. However, the one that collapsed was Sasuke, as he was out like a light. Deadpool deliberately allowed him to stab him. He uppercutted Sasuke with such force that the Uchiha eyes rolled back immediately as he fell unconscious. People tend to forget that he was incredibly strong. With one blow he took Sasuke out like it was nothing, someone who achieved the title as Jonin at the Hidden Leaf. His gaze turned towards the other two as his stomach started to heal. Fine, I'll take all of you out, said Mito. Naruto turned his gaze as a clone of Mito grabbed Sasuke and jumped away. He felt her chakra surge, rather violently. She blurred through hand sign before she released her technique. Wind style, Gale Dome, she said. Upon releasing the technique, both Deidara and Naruto were surrounded by a violent eruption of wind, slicing blades. The amount of chakra to pull this off was insane, however, she had said chakra to back it up. Looking down, Naruto started to see his clothing start to rip, and it started to rip into his flesh. Deidara cursed as he tried to find a way to get out of this. However, there wouldn't be enough time. That is when Naruto's arm wrapped around his waist. Hold on to me tight. It's gonna be a bumpy ride. Oh, no arms. Naruto held his blade up as the chakra flooded through it. He raised his blade and slashed, releasing a violent rupture that tore through the technique as he jumped through with Deidara. However, Mito was right there, a Rasengan forming in her palm. She thrust it towards Deidara's face. However, Naruto used his hand. The thing slammed against his hand with critical force. Mito did not let up as it tore his skin, showing the adamantine steel underneath. She kept on pushing as she released it, causing the chakra to erupt violently, blowing Naruto's hand apart. Naruto's other hand was holding on to Deidara with a great amount of force, to the point that Deidara could not escape his embrace. Naruto released him and pulled down and grabbed Deidara by the leg. He swung him and slammed him into Mito, launching her towards a tree as she crashed into it. That was when the copy ninja proved why his technique was best fit for assassinations. As he pierced through Naruto's back, the hand cackling through his chest. "I've been watching you," said Kakashi. "With your healing ability, you basically seem immortal. However, if I kept my hand here, stimulating your nerves, you won't be able to move. Now that's kinky. Hitting me from the back and stimulating my nerves. What are you into, Copy Ninja?" said Naruto. "I thought you were just Control C and Control V, but I guess I was wrong. That just earned you a invite to my sexy party. It's gonna be filled with a lot of fun. And, well, namesake. By the way, he's getting away." Upon Naruto releasing Deidara, the man started to run. Yes, he started to run. Kakashi cursed as Mito was just picking herself back up. He couldn't allow the Akatsuki member to get away. It might be their only opportunity to get information. However, Leaf Whirlwind! He was knocked away with a brutal kick. As Guy and Lee arrive on the scene, Tenten and Neji had remained behind to help out the others. Deidara realized that he was screwed with the situation that he was in, as he saw the kunai that Sasuke had thrown earlier. He leaped forward and bit down on it as he plucked it out of the ground. Mito was still in a daze, her head had hit against a tree. Deidara dashed towards her. "Mito, watch out!" Kakashi shouted. However, it was too late. Deidara was too close. In that moment, there was a violent surge of energy. Kakashi was shocked as he was thrown away. He slammed against the ground hard. In the blink of an eye, upon pure instincts alone, Naruto split Deidara's head clean open, as the kunai was split in half as well. The man's body crumbled as Mito's eyes went wide. She was out of focus. If he didn't do something, there was a high chance that she would have been able to survive, but there was still a chance that... Naruto cursed under his breath, as he just lost his source of information. "You wanted him. Why? Why did you stop him? Why save me? When you didn't get what you want, you're supposed to be a selfish, bloodlusted, and blood-crazy mercenary. I've heard about you during my travels," she said to him. Naruto simply looked at her, before he dodged out of the way, dodging both Lee and Guy as he flipped away. He then proceeded to whistle, as they heard the galloping sound. His horse appeared out of nowhere. Naruto flipped as he landed on it. "I guess this is my ride. It has been fun. Well, not for me because I failed in my task, but it was still fun. Giddy up, boy." With that, the horse jumped and landed far down as it started to gallop off. Naruto on the back of it, leaving the others rather confused on his intervention to help. However, Guy had noticed something rather shocking. What he just saw was, well, something he didn't expect. None of them saw what was taking place a distance away though. They didn't see it quite well. It was a creature that came from the earth. Yes, a creature known as Zetsu. As it sunk back down and vanished away. Time skip. The leader was not pleased one bit. 2 members of the organization fell. In recovering one tailed beast, 2 goddamn members. He was pretty pissed off by this happening. Yes, he was. Time skip. What was he talking about back there? I never got to ask you. Who, said Kakashi, as the teams were returning back home. One life was lost, and it was not Gaara. It was Lady Chiyo. After seeing something that she thought she would have never seen in her own lifetime. 2 shinobis from different villages, working and aspiring to help one another truly. She realized that she needed to make sure the future lived on, so she gave Gaara her life and died in the process. As Mito was overjoyed, The first thing she did was hug him. Not used to the emotional connection, Gara felt safe though. He felt warm and happy. They spent the next day there until they had to return. He's always saying pure nonsense, Kakashi said. He'd having to lie to her, but they didn't want her to know. After all, Naruto knew, and he had no intention of returning. Maybe this was a situation that would only bring bad if the information was given. Yes, it would. Time skip. Two members were making their way. As they were heading towards the rendezvous point, one was annoying the other one, and he really wanted to kill him. However, that was just not in the cards right now, because he could not. However, they were stopped as they heard a loud galloping sound. Turning their gaze, they found a rather unconventional situation. Riding towards them on a horse was none other than Deadpool, a white, beautiful horse. He arrived as the horse came to a stop, kicking up some dust and dirt. "Good boy," he said. "You've been so reliable. Now get going. This is gonna get a bit nasty." He pat the horse on the butt once again as he watched it run off. "I'm going to really miss you, boy," he said, completely ignoring the two S-rank criminals. "But I can't take you with me where I'm going. You should live out your life and have a lot of horse babies." He brought a hand to his eye and wiped away the imaginary tear. "Here I am getting all choked up. Who the hell are you?" As Naruto turned to face them. "Don't you remember what we were recently told?" It was Kakuzu that spoke, towards his partner Hidan. Kakuzu was holding something, well, someone over his shoulder. An unconscious woman. Ah, the one that they say is also immortal as well. That Deadpool fellow. "It's a pleasure to meet you." "Wait, you said also immortal. Why would that pop in your little cranium right there?" Hidan simply smirked. "I wonder how far his immortality goes. Shall we test it?" he said. "I've been itching to have some fun. I couldn't give Lord Jashin the blessing that he deserved, so I'll send his soul to Lord Jashin then." "My soul to who?" "My god, Lord Jashin. You should be honored because for the rest of eternity your soul will belong to Lord Jashin." "Wait, are you saying that you're gonna kill me?" "Pretty much," Hidan said. "But don't worry, it's a happy affair. You will be one with Lord Jashin and a part of the religion itself. You will become a part of my god. Your soul will be safe. There's no need to fret or to cry. You will be peace of everything and nothing. Lord Jashin will claim you as his own. So be honored that you get to fall by my hands, and that your soul get to live on forever as a part of my lord," Hidan said, stepping forward. However, when he started to run, all Naruto did was spread his arms. Hidan swung his sight, tearing through Naruto's clothing. Confusion marred his face though, as Naruto did not even move. But that was more better. He licked the blood, piercing himself. He drew the symbol. Throughout it all, Naruto stood there curiously. "If this is how long it takes you to kill someone, I'm surprised you're not dead yet." Kakuzu narrowed his gaze, feeling rather off about this whole situation. "Now," Hidan said as his skin color changed. His body looked like a skeleton. "Let us begin," he said. "Be honored, scream in delight, and pray to your lord," as he stabbed himself in the shoulder. Naruto looked towards his shoulder. "Oh, I see. Like a mimic thing. When you feel pain, I feel pain. Huh. I could tell you a bunch of people that would enjoy this in some S&M series. I mean, there are truly some freaks out there. I wonder how many therapists will be a part of it." He got stabbed once again, but this time in the leg. "Come on, more. Make it hurt." "Oh, sorry. My submissive side just came out a moment ago. Please, continue. It's good, Hidan said. Most people tend to fright away from the situation when they know what is going to happen, but you accept Lord Jashin greatly. You shall gain his blessing. Hidan plunged the pike into his chest as Naruto collapsed down to the ground. However, the next moment Naruto cursed. He slammed his fist in the ground, cracking it. Just like that. Pathetic. I knew you wouldn't be strong enough. I thought this was some curse that was supposed to kill everyone, but I was wrong. You're just a potsy. And you broke my heart because I just thought I was going to die. You selfish, heartless bastard. How could you do this to me after everything we've been through in the past couple of minutes? I will never love again. But first, I'm gonna kill you. You seem more intelligible. Like you know what's going on. More... Is suckable the right word? No, I don't think so. Wait. Suckable is a good word, but not for this. Wait. It is good for any situations. Could get you out of a real jam. With that, Naruto thrust forward as Hidan stabbed his leg. But that did not slow Naruto down as he threw the tiny blade right into Hidan's chest, causing him to stagger back as Naruto felt it in his own chest as well. He did not stop there though. As he looked down towards the ground, I wonder, he pushed Hidan out of the circle before he slashed at his face with his blade. Naruto felt his own face. Perfect as usual. Well then, slice. Naruto took his head off immediately. I guess you're not as strong as the others, are you? Upon saying that, Kakuzu's fist demolished Naruto's face. His body empowered by the Earth Heart, he hit Naruto with full force, crushing his head into the ground with a critical boom. What the hell, Kakuzu? Couldn't you have done that before he cut my goddamn head off? Hidan shouted in rage. If you weren't so stupid, you wouldn't have gotten your head cut off, Kakuzu said. Hidan was about to say something until Naruto shouted. God damn it, he said, pulling himself out of the ground. As he rearranged his face, his head had been snapped to the right. He snapped his head back. Kakuzu was surprised as he hit Naruto with his strongest amount of force ever. He hit him with everything. That punch was supposed to snap his head completely. It seems like his immortality wasn't a joke. Naruto was furious though. You guys are supposed to be S-rank criminals. What's the point of having that title if you can't kill someone? Is that really what you all have to offer? Punch. A strong punch. Naruto picked himself up off the ground. Well, I guess I'm over it. Now tell me where your boss is. Boss, Kakuzu said. Yeah, you know, the one that run the show. The one that give you orders. Are you not familiar with the word? I guess S stand for stupid? Kakuzu simply looked at Naruto as Hidan was cursing about his head. Well, it doesn't matter. You're the important one here. That is just... I don't know what that is. But you on the other hand, well, you're going to talk. A distance away, Zetsu erupted from the ground, confused on what was going on. They were supposed to reach a point by now, but they have not. That is when he saw the same individual, Deadpool. Again? Zetsu cursed in anger as he noticed a Jinchuriki nearby. He wondered. He slowly made his way underground to go after the girl. However, the moment he got close enough, Black Zetsu immediately split from White Zetsu. Good thing too, as White Zetsu was sliced right through the goddamn ground. I thought there was something nearby, Naruto said as he plucked the thing out of the ground, having moved from where Kakuzu and Hidan was. He felt the movement on the ground. Another Akatsuki member, huh? You're a freaky looking one, Naruto said, looking at the dead white Zetsu, as he realized their target was. A smile came to his face. He knew exactly what to do. Naruto whistled as his horse came galloping in. As Naruto placed the unconscious girl on the back of the horse. "Run, boy, run," he said. The thing took off. As Kakuzu tried to stop it, however, Naruto met him, blow for a blow. As Naruto extended his adamantine claws and ripped through his hand. Kakuzu tried to kick Naruto as Naruto jumped and snapped his neck to the right. Naruto flipped over him and kicked him in the back. As he landed straight on Hidan's head, he crushed it under his boot. He picked up the bloody mess. As he threw it in the air before, he gutted it and sliced and tore it apart. Not much of a immortality if you can't regenerate your head. Pathetic, I would say. Well, you're either perfect or you're not me, so, you know. Naruto threw himself out of the way, dodging the lightning. Fired by Kakuzu. It came from his shoulder. He flipped as he dodged a powerful wind attack. As he flipped and jumped, evading all of them until Kakuzu's back started to tremble and they erupted out of his back. Naruto stood there. Sorry, can't spend a lot of time. This one is gonna have to be a quickie. In a brief second, something overtook Naruto. A violent surge of energy. The power was unreal to the point that Kakuzu was frightened. And this was a man that had faced off against the first Hokage in his goddamn prime. What the hell? Kakuzu watched as in a second, his two masses were cut to ribbons. Kakuzu blinked as his arm was removed. No, his complete right side was gone. All Kakuzu was able to see was a blur at speeds that his eyes just could not follow. He was hit. It felt like he was hit by a goddamn mountain. His body slammed against the ground at least 100 times before he came to a stop. He was kicked in the ear as something flashed above him and he was dropped. When his body hit the ground, there was a loud explosion. Two slashes that ripped through the ear, surging with power, descended upon the man. Kakuzu's eyes went wide, not fast enough to move. His body was completely eviscerated. Black Zetsu, who poked his liquid head out of the ground, was surprised, shocked. Words could not describe what he was feeling right now. He had no idea. As Naruto's body returned back to normal. "I know you're there," he said. "I've taken your Jinchuriki. If you want it, come and find me. I'll leave myself wide open. All I want is to speak to your boss, the leader of your little operation. Given how valuable this seems to mean to you people, you're gonna have to come to me to get it," Naruto said as he made his way off. As he knew the creature was there, he could hear Zetsu moving from where he stood. Time skip. Words could not describe his anger to this nuisance that has infected his business time and time again. However, it seems like the rays of the sun were shining upon him today. We received word from Sorcerer Spine at work. His partner Konan said as she entered the room. "It seems I found the way to get what we want, without much fuss," Konan said, looking towards him, causing him to narrow his gaze towards her. Time skip. Her eyes slowly fluttered open as she looked down to see someone tying her legs together. The red and black mask greeted her. "I'm sure in your mind this looked rather messed up. However, there's nothing to worry about. Well, given that when someone is going to do something bad, That is exactly what they would say. But I promise, I'm not a bad guy. Well, I kinda am. And I did some real messed up stuff. He saw the eyes of hers widening. Well, I guess I'm not helping my case. He took something off the nearby table and injected into her. She tried to move, tried to get out, however, she could not. As she slowly drifted back to sleep. She was Yujito, the current host of the Two Tales, and Naruto, hostage at the moment. As Naruto was simply waiting for the Akatsuki spy to come and find him. His hearing picked up on something. As Naruto made his way outside, he was in a random cavern in the middle of the woods. Making his way, Naruto found the creature outside. However, it was a white one. He thought he killed that one. Maybe there was more than one. "Hi there," White Zetsu said, a comical smile on his face. "Didn't I kill you?" said Naruto. "Oh, we're more than one. We have multiple copies." "Oh, I see. So you're like siblings?" "Well, technically yes, technically no." Good to know. What's with that whole spiral mask thing on your face? You must be really popular with the other of your kind, I mean. "That's a perfect shaped hole," said Naruto, causing Zetsu to laugh. "You're really funny. Now I get what they say in you," he said. He stepped forward. "You have something that the Akatsuki needs. I was sent here to give you the location of where to bring that thing." "Is that so?" "Well, is your leader going to be at that location?" Naruto asks. "I'm not sure. I was not privy to such information. I was just here to give you this." White Zetsu tossed something towards Naruto. Naruto caught it. His eyes widened under his mask. In the span of a second, Zetsu's throat was gripped as Naruto's hand dug into his throat. The murderous intent leaking from him. No humor in his tone. "Where did you get this?" he said. Zetsu was struggling to talk, unable to form proper sentence as Naruto was crushing his throat. Naruto eased his grip slightly. "Answer me. Now." "Well, you had leverage on us, so we decided to get leverage on you." Naruto was holding a crystal, a pink crystal in his hand. There was only one person that could create something like this, and he's seen this before. Inside there was a beautiful white lily, given to Yukimaru by Gurin. That could only mean one thing. "Where are they?" said Naruto. Time skip. Heading close by the hidden rain. As Naruto arrived towards the location, a desolate wasteland. Even from this distance, rain was pouring down. Held over his shoulder was the young girl from Kumo. As Naruto dropped her to the ground, the thunder boomed in the sky as lightning clashed. "I'm here. Show yourself," said Naruto. He wasn't in the mood for joking, especially when it came to this person. It was Gurin, of course. The money that Naruto had, send over. He sent it to Gurin. However, she wanted nothing to do with him. After he betrayed her, he left her. He thought that it was for the best, and he left, leaving her. And she hated him for that. But yet, he could not get past that. Something that bothered him. Something that made him believe he was weak. Because emotions, feelings, these things never bothered him before, but now, he couldn't help himself. This was the main reason why he didn't want to get close to anyone. Because he feared that same reason. Remembering when he started to wear the mask, why he put on the mask, even if he got close to someone. No one was supposed to know. He watched a father got cut down just because of his family. But then he thought that was a weakness. People that you care about. And he put on the goddamn mask, and now, the one person in this world that he's connected with more than anyone else. Not just physically but emotionally. And he abandoned her, and now she was captured. Naruto saw something walking from the distance. It wasn't one, it was six. As he approached, pulling the girl along with him as well. In the state that he was in, his concern about others did not really come into play, as there were 6 people that pulled upon him. These were the 6 paths of pain. "Where is she?" said Naruto, the only thing that was on his mind. The center path, Tendo, stepped forward. "You've been a thorn in the Akatsuki side for some time now, and now you've eliminated 3 of our members. 3 valuable members towards the organization. Something that cannot stand. Because of your action, you will replace them and take their job. You want me to join your organization?" There is a joke there somewhere, however, I'm not in the mood for that. "Tell me, where is the girl and the boy?" said Naruto. "They're in my possession. Hand over the Jinchuriki, and we can talk about them." "No." "What?" Pain said. "I said no. Tell me where they are. They're clearly not here, I would have known." "I'm going to ask you once more. Where are they? You seem to not understand the situation." "No! You're not understanding the situation," said Naruto. "Let me tell you what's gonna happen. You see, there is only 2 persons that knows about my connection with that girl. One of them I can safely say that they would not tell you. The other one, he's connected to a man that enjoys selling information. I've been so preoccupied, unfocused lately that it started to show. And people have started to underestimate me, to the point that they are willingly selling information about me. Me of all people. It seems I've been caught up in too much of my own drama to see just how much my image has fallen. Because they wouldn't have done something like that if I had kept up with my lifestyle. But let me tell you what's gonna happen here. I'm gonna ask you once more where she is, and if you don't tell me, I'm gonna kill every single one of you. And when I'm done, I'm heading towards the land of rain, because I can tell that is where you're from. I can smell it from here. And then I'm going to cause a mass genocide in that village until they return. And if they're not alive, I'm going to kill every single last person in the land of rain. And after that, well, trust me, you don't want to know. So I'm gonna ask you once more. Where are they? Said Naruto. Nagato opened his mouth to not give Naruto the information, but instead, as his Rinnegan pulsed, he held his hand out. Universal pull. Naruto was dragged off his feet. The next moment, the revival path stepped forward and slammed his fist in Naruto's gut. It wasn't done there though, as a human path black-handed Naruto with a terrible amount of force. The absorption path then crashed into his stomach, as the animal path summoned a rhino that knocked Naruto into the sky. The robot path then hit Naruto with 3 missiles, causing a colossal explosion. Realizing that this wasn't someone that he could control, because even using this person it would not work, Pain decided just to end him once and for all, so he wouldn't tamper with his business anymore. However, something extreme happened in that moment, and each path of Pain felt it. Flashback. It was a few hours after the burial took place at the Hidden Sand. Guy had noticed something when Naruto had saved Mito's life. Yes, he had noticed something. Something rather alarming that surprised him. He was currently seated with Kakashi, as both of them were talking about the previous encounter. As Guy seemed rather thoughtful, causing Kakashi to ask what was on his mind. It was that Deadpool, guy said. That surge of energy that overtook him. He was able to clear the distance between myself and the Akatsuki before I could even react. His speed was truly something. That took me by surprise as well, said Kakashi. It isn't just that, guy said. It's the same sensation for me when I enter the gates. Kakashi looked towards him surprised. Wait, you're telling me that he knows the 8 inner gates? I don't think that is all, said Guy. What do you mean? Well, by all theories this should be impossible, but... Well, I've seen crazier things, but still. He should have been dead. There's a breathing technique out there. A very powerful breathing technique that is similar to the 8 inner gates. Grants the user extraordinary strength and force. It's known as the 7 heaven breathing method. It's a state of activation that focuses on one breathing, allowing them to pull in a lot of oxygen, pushing their body by opening their points to unbelievable levels. I saw his breathing after he deactivated himself. But it might seem crazy what I'm about to say, but it seems like he was able to combine the inner gates with the breathing method. But that should be impossible. No, not for someone like him. What do you mean? Well, from what we know about Deadpool, said Kakashi, his regeneration is on a level of even past a Jinjuliki. I've seen Mito heal on occasions and her healing is nothing compared to his. I've heard that his arms and legs have been chopped off already, and he can regenerate them like that. If his body is able to accumulate at such a point, what's to stop him from opening the 8 inner gates and that breathing technique without any drawback? But if that's the case, with all that packed together, he would be virtually unstoppable, said Guy. Yeah, he would, said Kakashi. In the flashback, Yamamoto has been alive for a long time. The man that taught Guy Sensei, Yamamoto knew him rather well. After seeing Naruto's extraordinary healing ability, Yamamoto taught Naruto the gates. It took him some time to master the technique, but it wasn't something that he really relied on because none of his opponents were ever able to get by his regeneration, so he never truly relied on it. And during his travels he met someone that knew the inner breathing technique, and Naruto learned it. Over the years he had learned how to combine them. For most people this would kill them like that, because one of the techniques were already stressful, but the two of them combined would be a death sentence. However, with the body that he possessed, Naruto had no limits. Naruto opened the breathing technique to the 3rd activation stage and pushed the gates to the 7th stage. Immediately, his body surged with so much energy, he could not stay one place. The world seemed to slow down in his focus. The blades in his hand accumulate so much power and force. They were tearing through the space around them, bending literal space. Naruto took any limits that his body once possessed off, having no restrictions because his body could heal from any damage, any wound, any problems. Beyond the speed of sound, Naruto cleared the distance and slice right through the animal path. Meanwhile, what's going on? Confusion marred the face of Nagato. His close friend Konan looked towards him. What's wrong? I've lost connection with the summoning path. What is this? Nagato said, confused. As he did not understand, he pushed more power to his eyes. As he saw it, he made the remaining path jump away. However, only 3 of them landed. Shock as he jumped back himself as the human path had been destroyed. He held his hand out. Almighty push! The explosion of energy rippled towards Naruto, who flashed in front of it as Naruto raised his blades and cut right through the gravitational wave, showing the true master that created these blades work. Yamamoto was a master amongst masters when it came to creating weapons. The surge of energy that Naruto was now overflowing with was far above the gravitational wave. Naruto's body was pulsating with so much energy that it was ripping out of his goddamn suit, showing his skin underneath that had turned pitch red, glowing muscles and veins. His eyes were white, his pupil completely gone. Naruto slashed Tendo in half. Having cut through his technique, Naruto's hands were moving so fast they were only blurs. He sliced Tendo's body into chunks. He jumped in the air and dodged robot path. Naruto held on to his mini knife and threw it. However, the force that he threw it with, it was like a goddamn hurricane coming down. A violent surge of wind came with it, blowing the area apart, forcing all of the paths to jump away. With the smoke and dust kicked up, Naruto blurred downwards, his feet embedded in the skull of the absorption path, kicking the head clean off as he grabbed the body and launched it at such a force. There was a booming sound. The robot path ripped his shirt off as he caught the corpse. Two more arms extended from his back as Naruto appeared behind him. He lashed them out as Naruto tilted and dodged and ducked. Naruto then kicked him straight in the sky. He bent his knees as the ground shattered as he was already in mid-air. Naruto punched downwards. Just a fist alone. However, the pressure from his fists created an air pocket that exploded outwards. Naruto then kicked off the goddamn sky by kicking with such force as his blades retracted from his hand. Naruto slammed them through the face of the path before he ripped them apart. He ran on the ground like an animal, on all fours as he moved at incredible speed, jumping into the other path like he was a beast, as Naruto slashed and tore and ripped, leaving only the revival path. When the dust cleared as the revival path saw it, Naruto 3 adamantine blades were out. His body was hunched over, his face looking rather animalistic as a mask had tore. He growled. He took off running. The revival path brought his hand up as Naruto blurred out of sight, and Nagato lost his connection. Nagato pulled back, a shocked, frightening look on his face. Meanwhile, Naruto picked up the Akatsuki clothing and sniffed it, as his eyes turned towards the direction of Land of Rain. Orochimaru had changed Naruto DNA a lot. Naruto had an animal side that he tended not to tap into. After all, he had the senses. He also had the animal instinct as well. However, he did not go feral because he never needed it. Waking up was Yujito, confused on where she was. The bones that were on her legs and arms were no longer tightly secured, causing her to rip them out. She freed herself as she saw the one that had her taken off towards the Land of Rain. Confusion marred her face. She had to get out of here as fast as she could, despite her tired state, as the place was destroyed and a mess. As she went off, Naruto ran at speeds that shocked the guards at the gate. He blurred past it. He slammed through solid stone wall. He crashed into a few ninjas along the way. Let's just say that they were no longer with us. In the state that he was in, he wasn't exactly stable, as he was tapping into that feral side that was inside of him, and the overwhelming power was just making things worse. However, like an animal Hunting a prey, Naruto could see it. He could see what he could smell. Leaping from building to building. Conan, fluttering out in order to stop him from reaching the destination, but when Naruto crashed on the building nearby, he bent his knees and hunkered down. When he took off, solid steel exploded. Using the claws, Naruto ripped through the solid steel and crashed into the building. Shit, Conan shouted as he descended down, flowing through the hole as well. Inside of the chambers underground, Nagato heard all the destruction, the pipes being ripped apart, steel being destroyed. As he watched, powerful claws ripped through, creating a hole. The moment that hole opened up, he fired a rod. However, Naruto barely budged as the thing ripped into his chest. He looked down before he grabbed it and pulled it out. As he tossed it to the side, no words came from him, just a growl. As he stepped forward, however, paper shurikens ripped into his back as he did. His finger twitched as Nagato Rinnegan saw the seal right inside of his palm activated. "Conan, move!" he shouted. However, Naruto blade flew from where it was at blinding speed. Both of them. Conan moved as Naruto grabbed the left one and the right as he turned. Nagato dived out of his chair, and it was a good thing that he did so as Conan flew upwards. Naruto sliced the entire building in half, splitting the beams, splitting the hinges. A powerful shockwave spread to the others, destroying a few in the wake, showing just the amount of power that this blade could release when truly infused by actual power. Before Nagato could react, as his legs were not exactly working, Naruto picked him up by the throat and slammed him into the open wall. His eyes looking rather frazzled and dangerous until he heard it. Yes, he heard it. "Don't worry, I'll protect you. You're gonna be alright." He heard her voice. Naruto slowly started to calm down, his grip still tightened around Nagato's throat. He heard their heartbeat and it calmed him down. It brought a smile to his face. It made him happy. Conan flew back in the room with the intention to take Naruto down. However, Naruto clenched his fists when he released Nagato's throat, and the adamantine blade split through Nagato's chin and into his skull. For a brief second, Conan paused, and that caused her as Naruto turned and stabbed her right in the chest. The claws piercing her heart. He retracted the claws as he grabbed the both of them by the head. He spun and slammed their heads together, mushing it until brain matter, blood, and guts were all showing. "I told you what would happen," said Naruto, as he stood there, his hands covered in blood. Unknowingly, he just destroyed one of the most powerful weapons in this world, the Rinnegan. Naruto stepped past it, crushing it with his boot without even knowing. He slowly made his way. As he arrived, upon reaching, he stopped, his hand at the door handle. He froze there as his eyes were closed. Memories, thoughts rushing through his mind, his whole plan to off himself. As he heard the heartbeats inside, he heard the fear. He turned around. However, he stopped himself. Words from a long time ago returned back to him. It was actually from Yamamoto. "Just because you're alone now, it doesn't mean that you will be alone forever." Those words in that moment caused Naruto to grab the handle and broke it, effectively opening the door. As he stepped inside, "If you..." Gurin paused. As she was chained up, so was Yukimaru. What she was about to say stopped as she saw him standing there. Naruto? Yukimaru said, sounding surprised. The boy had grown in the past couple of years. He even cut his hair. Gurin looked relatively the same. However, the look in her eyes, a look of betrayal first and then anger. Naruto walked over without a word. He grabbed the chains with his bare hands as he broke them, freeing the both of them. Gurin turned towards Yukimaru. Are you alright? She said, checking him over, acting like Naruto wasn't even standing there. Yes, I'm fine. But Naruto is here. Yukimaru said, that doesn't matter. I have to get you out of here. Gurin, wait. What about Naruto? He doesn't matter, she said. She walked by him. As the both of them, she was actively pulling Yukimaru along that. Wanted them to say something, wanted to talk. Gurin hadn't been straightforward with him, but he knew that Naruto left. However, he knew how much Gurin cared about Naruto, and he wanted to fix that. But it seems like she wouldn't give Naruto the time of the day. Seeing the destruction, Gurin knew what happened, that he came to save them, but that didn't matter. She had to get Yukimaru to safety. However, that was a problem. Yes, that was going to be a problem. Every single rain ninja was arriving on the scene. Damn it, she cursed. However, Naruto stepped out of the room. I can get you out of here. The both of you, he said. She looked towards him. The look in her eyes was filled with so much emotions, but she understood the situation here and what those ninjas were going to do. As powerful as she was, she could not fight them all. And she needed to get Yukimaru out of here. Fine, she said. Naruto empowered himself once again. As he strapped his blades on, he grabbed the both of them, holding on to them securely and tightly. Before he took off, Naruto leaped, clearing the entire distance to another building. The rain ninjas started to fire their technique after the perpetrator, but Naruto was simply much too fast. Yukimaru held on for dear life, so did Gurin, as Naruto blazed out of the village. It only took him a few seconds to arrive to the area that they fought, but he did not stop there. They kept on moving until they were quite a distance away, heading towards the border. Gurin found herself leaning into his touch, when that suddenly awoke in her as she pushed him off, ended up stopping Naruto in his tracks. Yukimaru was all frazzled as he turned and threw up. He wasn't used to moving at such speeds, as Gurin was able to better control herself though. Gurin went to check up on him to make sure that he was fine, as he raised a hand. I'm fine, he said. He grabbed her hand. Look, I know that he left a few years ago, but he came back to save us. He put himself in mortal danger to save our life, and I know that doesn't excuse what he did. However, for the past couple of years you've been sad because you missed him. And I don't know if this is going to resolve anything, but you need to talk to him, and I'm not leaving until you do. Stop being so stubborn, she said. We have to leave. No, we're not. Talk. You're the closest person in this world to me, and I can't stand to see you suffer anymore, he said. So you're going to talk. And you. I haven't forgiven you for leaving us, but you will talk to my sister, he said. As their relationship had deepened to the point that he saw her as a big sister, and he started to call her as such. And if you hurt her again, you're gonna have to deal with me. Naruto wasn't full with jokes or anything, he was calm. Don't worry, he said. I won't. Yukimaru gave them space. Gurin did not even look at Naruto. I'm not sure what you want to say, but can you hurry up and say it so we can get out of here? You hate me, said Naruto. Hate doesn't describe what I feel for you. Naruto sat down on the ground. You should hate me, he said. My first memory of this world was waking up in a lab. I knew nothing and no one. My face was hideous at the point. People called me monster and demon and all of that. Until I met Yamamoto. He was like a father to me. I didn't know any, so I attached to him rather well. When he died, he told me that I don't have to always be alone. However, I saw what being with people gets you, what having emotion gets you. So I hid my face away from the world. Hiding myself, I suppose. Not sure. Until I met you. Not even knowing about my parents stirred up my life as you did. Something I hated. I hated what you did to me. You turned me into something that I never was. These feelings and emotions, I never had them. I didn't know how to react with them. So I thought it was best if I just leave. Because I could not go through with this. So I did leave. I left you and Yukimaru. A selfish, heartless bastard of a thing to do. Because I am selfish and I am heartless. And I am a monster. And I realized that. That is why I spent the last year trying to off myself, but I can't die. Gurin reacted to what he said. I spent the last couple of weeks trying to find the leader of the Akatsuki so that he could end my life. If he could control so many powerful people, he must be able to kill me. So I wanted him to kill me. However, he captured you. So I killed him. Because I couldn't stand by knowing that anyone could capture or hurt you. Something like that made my skin crawl, said Naruto. So I just destroyed my only chance of dying. And I'm sure that he could have put an end to me with all the powerful techniques at his disposal. But I just want you to know, it's alright to hate me. It's my fault. I'm a selfish, heartless bastard. So you can hate me if you want. Just don't get penned up on it. Like Yukimaru said, you need to be happy. You deserve that much. Just let me get you guys out of here. And you'll never have to see my face ever again. I promise that you two won't get captured ever again. Because I'll make sure that anyone that knew about our relationship is dealt with. So, come on. Naruto was cut off as she punched him right in the face. He staggered as she hit him once again and again and again and again, until he fell on his back. She landed on his chest as she started to beat him, until her fists were bloody. She ripped his mask off his face, well, what remained of it. There were tears in her eyes. Naruto didn't try to fight back. You think you're the only one that had a shitty upbringing, she shouted at him. Why did you tell me that? That you were trying to off yourself? Do you think I would care? You left. After everything. After I begged you not to, you left. For 3 years, you knew where I was, sending us all that money. I wanted nothing from you. I wanted nothing to do with you. So why should I care now, she said. Why should I care about you now? When you actively showed me that you didn't care about us. You didn't care about me. I thought I finally found something. Someone that I can actually find myself care about. But I was wrong because you never cared. So why should I care about you now? Give me one goddamn good reason, she said. I'm waiting. Naruto looked at her. You're wrong, he said. It wasn't that I didn't care. The reason was, I cared too much, he said to her. Gurin was silent, quiet, not saying a sound. As she dried her tears away, she wasn't one that usually break down in tears. This wasn't something that she was used to dealing with. So what now, she said. You expect me to run back to you? To forgive all that you did? Huh? Is that it? Of course not, said Naruto. It's up to you what you want to do. I deserve nothing. I am a horrible person. I've told you that before. And I've done horrible things. I don't expect you to forgive me. But I want to, she said. Because I don't want you to leave again. Yukimaru was right. These past 3 years has not been good. It's nothing about anything else. Everything is about you. Because you left that day when I was finally starting to open up to trust you. And now I feel if I do, you just leave again. I suppose my words don't mean shit, said Naruto. However, I promise you, I would die before leaving you guys ever again. I would die before ever leaving your side. Ever again. But you just said it yourself. You can't die. Exactly, he said. As Gurin narrator gazed down towards him, Yukimaru was gazing towards them, hoping that things were going good. However, it seems like they wasted a lot of time. Guys, we need to get out of here. As rain ninjas were on their way, as they were running away, Gurin gazed towards Naruto, wondering in her heart if she could trust him again. Time skip. A door was blasted open as someone crashed through it. Oh, hi there. It's me, your friendly neighborhood Deadpool. Wait, that's not it. It is I. Your no, that's not it. I'm back. No, that's not it. I'm here to say, no, that's not it. I guess I don't have an intro. Well, it's been a time, isn't it? Well, for you it's been only, like what, 2 seconds? But for me it's been a very, very long time. I know it might seem crazy, but it has. Wait, give me one moment. Deadpool walked over and grabbed a green-skinned individual as he retracted his claws and split his head off. Now that that's done, let's get back to what's been going on. Like I said, it's been a long time for me. You see, I'm gonna fill you in on where you left off. The love of my life, and the only one that has ever claimed my heart. Gurin died a long time ago. Yes, a very long time ago. Well, everyone that I once knew died a long time ago. My baby sister, my mother, my father, even my 3 children, and even their grandchildren, and 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 their grandchildren. It's gone down far, far, far. You see, the elemental nation is no longer what it once was. It has evolved into something different, completely. It is more modern now. Cars, phones, this and all of that. But let me fill you in. After rescuing Gurin and we reunited, things were rocky at first, but we came together. We had to go somewhere. With my heart intact, feeling like a new man, I decided to finally meet the folks. It was a touching reunion. My sister was a bit pissed at first that no one told her, but we had time and we eventually caught up. Soon after, there was a whole lot of problems with the remaining Akatsuki members and the guy they called Toby. I killed him though. He was good, but I opened the 8 gates. Because, you know, can't die and all. So yeah, I opened the 8 gates, and I was much too fast for him. I then freed all the tail beasts. Well, I destroyed the statue and their bodies accumulated, and they ran in the wild. But I knew that they were going to be captured again, so I seek out all leaders and threaten them. I show them that I could not die and that I have unlimited power at my disposal, and I threatened to wipe them all off the map. Something that my father was pissed about, and we got into a huge argument about it, but eventually we patched things up. Well, in a couple of years. Because I tend to leave the village and do what I please, they say, and I cause global instability and all that. I mean, I was just trying to help, but we did patch things up, and he was a wonderful grandfather to my kids. So yeah, I ended up marrying Gurin. We had 3 wonderful babies. 2 boys and 1 girl. They were the love of my life. My precious beauties. Everything went normal after that. I was hated by thousands and people wanted to end my life, but they could not, so they target my kids. I ended up killing a few people and throwing the world into a 4th grade shinobi war. Well, not exactly. We were able to sort things out with threatening a few people and agreeing to a few terms. So yeah, things got sorted out in the end. And yeah, things were pretty much calm after that. So I put up the blades, I put up the weapons, and I retired. My sister became the Hokage, and my life was peaceful. Until everyone started to age. And I realized I could not goddamn age. Time after time after time after time again. And nothing was changing. However, soon after there was these beings that came to Earth. Yes, called the Atsukis. Powerful son of a bitch. By that time though, my sister had mastered the power of the 9 tails. Even become friends with the fox. Sasuke was also there as well, having gained his brother eyes and, well, his story, not mine, so I don't really care about that. We killed these Atsukis, but we found out there was more. There was also this big thing with Teneri, Atsuki wanting to destroy the Earth, but I took his head off, so that's not really important. More time passed and more time passed, but no other Atsuki came. Seems we were in the clear. That was until everyone reached their 80s and I was still fresh as ever. Our parents had died by then and, well, Gurin had passed on a couple years later. I was still there for my kids, but then they grew up and they got old and I started to wonder the world, wondering if there was any purpose, any meaning to any of this. I mean, I was goddamn immortal. Nothing could take me down. So I watched civilization rise, fall, this, that, keeping in touch with my kids and all that. I decided to leave the Earth after thousands of years. I went to the moon, and I found some things that belonged to the former Atsuki. Hagoromo, what's not. I learned a few things up there until I decided to drift. No, don't get me wrong, I could not breathe in space. Oh, I could not. But I can't die, so I just went for it. I empowered myself with the inner 8 gates and the breathing technique which I learned how to evolve over time, allowing me to move through space at incredible speed beyond the speed of sound. I went to other planets and I learned a lot. I learned that the Atsuki clan was still out there. I'm not sure why they didn't come to Earth anymore. I'm not sure what happened to them, but I became a universal mercenary. I started to hunt on a universal scale, hunting down people, doing this, doing that. I ran into the Atsuki once again, and I fought this guy. They called him the Atsuki God. Turns out that he was the one that was sending them to gather energy from the planets. I joined up with this group called the Resistance. There was a lot of them, including a few Atsukis. I was captured by the Atsuki God, where he tried to learn the limitation of my body. I'm not sure why. He was probably a freak. But we didn't get onto any nasty stuff, he just wanted to know about me. He picked me apart piece by piece, but I kept on coming back. It seems not even he could completely destroy me. It was then I know that I was truly immortal and I will see the fall of this universe. I eventually got freed by the Resistance and we fought, and I killed him. But I also took his eyes as well. I implanted them in my sockets after removing mine. My natural healing ability allowed my body to absorb them, gaining full access to the sight that he had and the abilities as well. I don't really use them that often unless my opponent is extremely strong, but, well, I became the new Akatsuki god. I got bored one day, so I wiped out the resistance and then I destroyed a few planets by causing instability and affecting the Earth's core of their planet. I killed millions of people and then I fall off the map for a couple of centuries. And then I return, as if I'm a new person to the universe. Don't get me wrong, it's not been that boring because the universe is ever expanding and new life is coming and growing. So I've returned back to my normal job after a time being a mercenary. I've started to get the feeling of enjoying the hunt once again. And don't get me wrong, Gurin will always be the love of my life. However, these alien chicks, my god damn it, they're hot. And some of them have some, come closer, they have some freaky, underneath all of that. It's like going to heaven and coming back at least 100 times in 1 second. You get my drift. So yeah, that's been my life so far. But now I'm working on something much more big. I found someone that believes that we can punch a hole in this universe and exit it and go to another. So guess what? Soon enough I'll be a multiversal traveler. Yeah, that's what's been going on. Oh, here she is. As Deadpool watches a majestic white horse appeared. Well, it wasn't really a horse, and it was more silver. It was a giant beast, however it reminded him of his horse back home. He hopped on the back of the two-headed beast. Giddy up, boy. It released a loud bellow that shook the area as it took off. Wings expanded from its side as it flew through the air. Well, that's it, guys. See you soon. And I don't mean that in a see you soon, you're not gonna see me again. If you didn't hear correctly, I'm gonna be a goddamn multiversal traveler. So yeah, that's right. See you in the other Naruto what ifs. I'll be there. I'll always be there. Because I am the Naruto Universe Jesus. I am Naruto Jesus. And you will all know my name. Hey, why is the screen going black? Hey, I'm not done talking. Hey. Alright guys, that's it. Had to cut that son of a bitch off. Like he wants to take over my story and all that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's been a fun, amazing ride. And I just want to thank you all for accompanying me on it, guys. New what ifs coming up soon for you guys to enjoy. So yeah, stay tuned and I hope you do. But I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace.